The Humpty Dumpty Dilemma, or why we need to integrate knowledge across different communities of practice. Prepared by Roberto Rocco, Chair of Spatial Planning and Strategy, TU Delft. For the course Methodology for Urbanism, taught by Roberto Rocco and Egbert Stolk. But what is urbanism? Urbanism is not an English word, but at TU Delft, we use it to express a particular understanding of a discipline that is concerned with the analysis, understanding, planning and design of human life over a territory. This could be in a specific area, in a neighborhood, in a city, in a metropolitan area, in a region, and even entire countries. Urbanism is not a pure discipline, but it draws inputs from numerous other disciplines like the social sciences, the physical sciences, and very particularly, design. Therefore, when teaching urbanism, it's necessary to articulate different research paradigms into a meaningful whole. This goal will be more easily met if meaningful relationships between the various disciplines that are taught in our courses are discussed in a clear and systematic manner, making different research paradigms explicit and clarifying their logics of inquiry and methods. This particular understanding of the discipline in the Netherlands is not always easily communicable to outsiders, partly because practices have become so ingrained that they have become invisible, and partly because those practices are the result of very specific societal practices which do not translate easily into other contexts. What urbanism comprises in the Netherlands is not easily explained. There is a strong element of urban and regional design mixed with planning components, with tints of engineering, landscape architecture, sociology, political science, history, spatial economy, and now even computer modeling. We are faced with some big challenges. In our department, there is a large variety of ideas and opinions about what an education in urbanism should entail, and what the relations between research and design practice ought to be. Four main issues arise. First, as we explained, there is a particular understanding of the discipline and the activities and actions connected to the specific social, economic, and political landscape in the Netherlands, which we call idiosyncrasy. Second, the scope of the discipline is very wide, and different communities of practice have different understandings of the questions to be addressed. This we call scope. The third issue concerns the dynamic nature of urban studies and practices today, the existence of new spatial challenges, new tools to understand them, and new practices to tackle them. This all means that the scope of the discipline is dynamic and in permanent evolution. Therefore, traditional understandings of urban development and the practices involved are being challenged, and new research and practice paradigms are arising. This we call evolving paradigms. The fourth issue concerns an education in an increasingly internationalized environment, where understandings about the nature of the discipline are bound to differ. This is called internationalization of the university. These four issues are interconnected, and they have a huge impact on the nature of the questions being asked in an academic environment and the answers being delivered, the ontological questions, the methods employed to answer those questions, the methodological question, and the discourses being built around those questions, answers and methods, the epistemological question. The Department of Urbanism at TU Delft consists of a variety of chairs. All chairs have their own questions, methods, and answers, constituting different communities of practice. Different communities of practice often have very different worldviews. A worldview is basically a set of beliefs that one holds about the nature of the world and one's place in it. In philosophy of science, a worldview determines how one sees the world and the questions one asks about this world. In short, in academia, different worldviews determine different research questions and the activities one should undertake to answer them. These different activities form different paradigms of inquiry, also called logics of inquiry, which we tackle in another lesson. The Masters of Urbanism curriculum is taught by staff members from all chairs, with different worldviews and with different paradigms of inquiry. This means that they look at different aspects of the built environment and they ask different questions. In short, knowledge in urbanism must be articulated across disciplines and across communities of practice in order to avoid what we call the Humpty Dumpty dilemma. Humpty Dumpty is a fictional character from an old English nursery rhyme. In Through the Looking Glass, written in 1872 by Lewis Carroll, Alice meets Humpty Dumpty sitting on a wall, just like he did on the rhyme, and she discusses with him. "I don't know what you mean by glory," Alice said. Humpty Dumpty smiled contemptuously. "Of course you don't, till I tell you. I mean, there's a nice knockdown argument for you." "But glory doesn't mean a nice knockdown argument," Alice objected. "When I use a word," Humpty Dumpty said in rather a scornful tone, "it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less." "The question is," said Alice, "whether you can make words mean so many different things." "The question is," said Humpty Dumpty, "which is to be master, that's all." This very simple story hides many meanings, as it is often the case in Lewis Carroll's stories. Carroll was a mathematician and a logician. He liked to play logic games. When Humpty Dumpty says, "When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean," he's playing a power game with Alice. What he means is, if I validate my own meanings, if I decide that my words mean what I want them to mean, regardless of what other people think, then I'm always right. But Alice is too stubborn. She replies that the word glory needs to be understood by all if any meaningful communication is to be achieved. With the Humpty Dumpty story, we want to illustrate a situation where knowledge is being produced and validated by one's own peers within the same community of practice, without outside scrutiny. In this scenario, knowledge becomes highly idiosyncratic, and words mean exactly what one wants them to mean, without regard for how other people understand those ideas. Again, if I validate my own ideas in my own community of practice, then I will always be right. But this is not how things work in academia. Knowledge is necessarily an incremental and dynamic thing. We produce knowledge standing on the shoulders of giants. That is, by using knowledge produced before us by others who have done research and experimentation. However, our knowledge is necessarily provisional, impermanent. It needs to be understood by others and integrated by other people producing new knowledge after us. Our point here is that knowledge must be articulated and it has to be communicated across communities of practice to be validated, used, and integrated by new knowledge. After all, In your professional and academic life, you must integrate knowledge from different areas, and you must communicate with all sorts of people, professionals, academics, citizens, politicians, not only urbanists.